price is the only value that we have when we walk into that house. The second we give price to the homeowner or the client, I always tell everyone this. The second you give price, all of a sudden, oh yeah, can you email that over? Okay, then I'm packing up and leaving. I'm in and out within 3 minutes once I give price.
Are your teeth bloody from the mistakes in your HVAC sales process? I've got Jason Walker here from HVAC Masters of the Hustle.
Straight up moneymaker.
And we're going to share with you the top HVAC sales mistakes that you can fix up now and increase your close rate for you and your team so you sell more and make more money. Jason, what have you been up to, brother? Good to see you.
First off, man, I just got to say it was great to hang out with you at AHR out there in Las Vegas. One of the biggest events, right? It's more like a home show of what's upcoming for the trades of HVAC. But you and Cheeto absolutely rocked it, the tactical awards. But what we got going on is I got a lot of crazy things happening this month. We had the tactical awards, right? This upcoming week, we got EGIA Epic, which I'll be speaking 3 different times, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then the following week, I'm back in Vegas for the Rude Ream event from Ferguson. So
right.
I try to get out of Vegas as much as I can, dude. Oh, my God. I don't know how you're still there.
Yeah. I just, by the way, I spoke this morning and it was pretty well attended.
How'd that go? Tell me about it.
It was phenomenal. I was talking about how to rank on AI and everyone was super engaged. And I told a bunch of stories that were fun. Just learning how to engage the crowd better. A lot of people were asking questions. And I think that just makes a talk so much better. So the people that were at my talk, you guys are real ones. That was incredible. And I've been running around with Mr. Fat Cheeto demoing a bunch of products. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed those videos if you follow me on Facebook at Tim Hook. And your video with me just reached 30,000 views, and on YouTube, that's an incredible.
Whoa, that is amazing.
It's an incredible amount of views, and it actually has a lot of complimentary stuff too. People have been talking about how getting ahead of objections has been huge for them. Just ask for the sale, things like that. So I want to go at this from a different angle. Being that you're out in the field a lot, you do ride-alongs and you actually are in the field as opposed to a lot of trainers that are not in this day and age. That I want to hear what you're really seeing. And maybe, this last year you're building an HVAC company from scratch. You've probably done a few mistakes too. I just want to hear a little bit of the wealth of knowledge. What are the top HVAC sales mistakes, if you don't mind sharing with me? What's your number one to get this popping off?
Oh, let's say the number one is get the objections out front. It's wild to me that as technicians, comfort advisors, sales professionals, they wait till the end. They know the objection's coming, right? They deliver the price, which is our only ammunition. The second we give price, we're done, right? And all of a sudden, they don't ask for the objections or get the objections or pull them out beforehand. So they're battling and backpedaling at the end. And to me, it's just wild because why are we so scared to ask the hard questions up front?
Many homes suffer from inefficient HVAC systems due to leaky ducts, leading to uneven room temps, lost airflow, and higher energy costs. AeroSeal's innovative sealant technology targets and repairs leaks, improving airflow and efficiency. Increase your customer satisfaction, increase sales, and offer a unique market advantage. Become a leader in HVAC efficiency. AeroSeal.com.
Yeah. And when you say, they're not addressing objections, I guess, before they come out. If you address an objection or figure out how to get in front of that objection, is there a chance you're shooting yourself in the foot because that customer wasn't going to have that objection? Or how do you imagine doing this in a way that doesn't shoot yourself in the foot?
I go through what we call a comfort survey. So at the beginning of the appointment, I start at the table because where you start is where you finish, and where do people do business? At the motherfucking table. Okay? It's plain and simple, people. But then there's the hardest question on my comfort survey that I asked the homeowner. and I look them straight in the eye because I know it's going to pull out my objection, or it's going to give me a little bit more ammunition to move forward with whatever the next section of my presentation is. But I look at them, I say, hey, Bob and Betty, if I'm fortunate enough to design the safest and most economical system guaranteed to meet your needs today, is there any reason why we can't ask for business today? And I just want to let you know a yes and a no is a perfectly okay answer, but a maybe so or I don't know is not what I'm gearing towards, because that means I didn't do my job as a professional. So again, is there any reason why I can't ask for your business today? And again, yes or no is a perfectly okay answer.
Okay, so you're starting with that. Is there any other major objections that you're like, most people don't, like the mistake of not getting ahead of those? Like, what are the most common objections people don't get ahead of?
I think the most common objections that they're going to get is, I want to think about it. I'm getting 3 bids. I need to talk to my spouse, right? If you're at a one-legger appointment and you're with the woman or the husband of the home and they got to talk to their spouse, right? A lot of times that's a smokescreen objection. You got to be creative as a sales professional to get that individual on the phone. So how I'm creative with it is I go, okay, let me ask you a question, Mr. Tim. If I was, to call my supervisor, the way that we do things at Royalty Heating and Air is we do things a little bit more efficient. Okay. And what I mean by that is we're actually hiring and growing right now while our competitors are closing their doors and laying people off. And the reason why we're able to grow right now is because we do things a little bit more efficient than a lot of other companies. So I don't know, it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes I reach out to my supervisor and he'll extend what we call an efficiency bonus. I've seen him give all the way up to $300 to $500 to make a phone call. So let me ask you a question. Are you willing to make a phone call right now to save yourself $300 to $500? Or is that phone call worth $300 to $500? Who in their right mind is going to say, no, you know what, Tim, that phone call is not worth $500. But see, as a technician, what's that doing? As a comfort advisor, what's it doing? It's allowing me to drive this to a conclusion. I hate being the technician or the comfort advisor that's sitting there scratching my head, right? Wondering why. Why didn't I get the job? Who do they have coming out after me? Well, why don't we ask those hard questions so we could overcome the objections, close the doors to protect the price at the end? Because a lot of people, I don't think, understand that price is the only value that we have when we walk into that house. The second we give price to the homeowner or the client, I always tell everyone this: challenge yourself to see how long you could stay in the house after you give price. Because you could be in an appointment 2-3 hours, shit, even 4 hours sometimes before giving price, right? But the second you give price, all of a sudden, oh yeah, can you email that over? Okay, then I'm packing up and leaving. I'm in and out within 3 minutes once I give price. But that's also the other thing that I see technicians fail all the time. This is a great question you asked, Tim, because let's turn it from sales to technicians real quick, okay? If I go out and I go do a tune-up or an evaluation or a diagnostic, when do the technicians usually present their findings? They present at the end, okay? I communicate that we need to find whatever the findings are, communicate it to the homeowner. If it's 6 different things you find, you better be pulling that homeowner 6 different times, putting it in their hand. The bigger the show, the bigger the dough, okay? What I find when I do ride-alongs is absolutely crazy, because in the technician's mind, they don't know this, but they're going to start packing up, right? They're going to start putting the doors back on the furnace. They're going to put the blower assembly back in. They're going to put the cap and the motor in. Same thing with the outdoor system. And then they go sit down and do the presentation. But if I'm the consumer on the other side of that table and you're presenting me findings after you already buttoned up my system, what does that tell me as the consumer?
What?
It shows me that you already had the mindset that I wasn't going to do it because you already cleaned up. It's not that big of a deal, right? So I always tell technicians, don't clean your area up yet. Go present your solutions, because if they tell you no, okay, if they end up telling you no, you have another 15 minutes to go back to the basement, to the attic, to go clean your shit up. So now it's marinating to the homeowner, right? You planted the seed. Now, instead of taking 3 minutes to pack your stuff up and leave, You go back to the system, okay? You also explain to the homeowner that, hey, I'm going to go ahead and give you a couple minutes to think about it. I got about 15 minutes to button everything up. And I can't tell you how many times a homeowner went down to the attic, met me at the crawl space or at the attic access and said, hey, you know what, Jason? You said that you have that part on your truck. Let's just go ahead and do that repair. Or, hey, you know what, Jason? You gave us the estimate on the system. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the financing. Like it's those type of things that is the biggest failures that I think that I see that technicians or comfort advisors are not aware of. And it's like a homeowner, right? You don't know what you don't know. And so when I show the homeowner, or not the homeowner, the technicians or the comfort advisors this, and I'm walking around the house and I'm actually showing and putting these things in the hand, because technicians and comfort advisors, right? They're fearful to talk to the homeowner multiple times. Hey, I don't want to bug him over a capacitor. I don't want to, I just talked to him 5 minutes ago. I don't want to show him something else. But then all of a sudden you're there for an hour and a half, 2 hours doing your diagnostic, your tune-up, and you want to present options at the end? That's crazy to me, because now 2 hours have gone by, an hour and a half has gone by. And what is that homeowner sitting? They're sitting across from you at the table as a technician. You're going through your findings and they're going, walls are up. Oh shit, you're trying to sell me something, homeboy. No, that's why you have to inform and educate. And then the next thing you ask is, what do people do wrong while they're in these appointments? Telling is selling. Technicians love to tell what they find, right? And when I'm telling a homeowner things, what's happening is their walls are going up. You're trying to sell me something? Whoa. But when you get good at asking open-ended questions, okay, that you know how to direct them to where they're going, the finish line, and the homeowner feels like they're coming up with their own resolution, but you're just guiding the questions, Tim, that's what separates the great from the good, okay?
Let's zoom in on that one. That's a big one. I think that's the second one on our list. The telling is selling. Is telling is selling is the mistake, correct? Telling is selling?
Yeah, a lot of times technicians, they find a dirty blower wheel, right? And they go, oh, Bob and Betty, you got dirt and dust in your system and it's lacking the efficiency of the unit and it could burn out the motors. And, you have a control board right here and it's like a computer. But if you say, hey, you know what do you notice right here? Oh, it's dust and dirt. They just came up with that. Well, let me ask you a question. Knowing that this is like a computer machine, right? And it's a mechanical machine and it has a control board that operates like a computer. What does dust do to computers? And they go, oh man, they cause damage. Okay, what else? Okay, what else? What else? Man, I agree with you on all of those, right? And now they feel like, okay, I'm the one telling the technician what kind of damage it could do. But then it also sets you up at the end that when you do ask permission to give them a solution, right? They already put this all up on a pedestal of everything that it could do, damage the system, lack of efficiency, whatever it is, that now when you ask for the business, right? Hey, we got two options. It's either we go ahead and perform a system rejuvenation cleaning. I got everything set up and prepared for it. Or I could go ahead and put everything back together dirty and continue my tune-up. What would you like to do from here? Boom. It's really hard to look at Tim and say, hey, you know what, Tim? Go ahead and put everything dirty and continue the tune-up. And if they do, it gives you ammunition to fall back. Hey, let me ask you a question. Based off what you told me, Mr. Tim, the damage it could do is this, this, and this. Can you help explain why you want me to put it back in dirty, or why you want me to put in a failed capacitor or overamping motor?
Yeah, I'm learning how to just use questions more in my communication for speaking, right? And I think good communication often, you know where you're going. This is my mentor, Marcus Sheridan, talks about clear path questions. Meaning I know where I want to go, but I'm asking questions so that they can help get there. So that they're the one bringing us there. And leadership. So I think speaking and leadership, clear path questions where you know what you want, but it's also, there's a fine line between asking a question that's kind of a leading question in a way that feels positive, and then how can we avoid feeling like we're being a lawyer? Do you know what I mean? And like just making like kind of telling them but not telling them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like how can we make this feel good to
Because you gotta make friends before business. Okay.
Yeah.
People go in there focused on business before relationship. And that's the big disconnect is when you go in there and you're hyper focused on the reason of what drove you to get out there and you forget about that individual that you're sitting in front of you. People have to understand this, Tim. When you are in my house, okay, people buy from people that they like, okay? But also value has to exceed price, okay, every single time. And so when I'm going out there and I'm communicating to the homeowner and I'm so tunnel vision on business that I forget about the relationship part, I promise you you're going to be the same as everybody else. There's nothing that separates you from anybody else, your competitors, your competition. Everyone's doing the same thing. But I tell everyone, you have to make that connection. And you got to make the connection at the beginning of the appointment. And you have to establish, again, people remember the way you make them feel, not what you say. Okay? So when I could go in there and I can make someone feel very genuine, I can make them feel that I care about them, I can make them feel a certain way, right? That's where it goes a long ways. Not just telling, because like we said, telling is selling, right? We got to bring the emotion into it because people also buy off emotion. And that's why I say it's so important to have the homeowner understand that, hey, or you as the technician understand that, hey, I got to make sure that this individual understands the emotion, but also I have to engage with them to create an emotion and a memory that they're going to remember me out of these 3 other technicians because they told me earlier, hey, I'm getting 3 bids. Okay. Do you want me to overcome 3 bid objection for everyone real quick?
Yes, absolutely. Please.
Okay. So when I'm thinking about objections, okay, I'm thinking about it as a pitcher. Okay. And when I step into that batter's box growing up playing baseball, they could only throw me 5 or 6 pitches. But what happens is over time, I get good at hitting that high inside fastball, the curveball. Why? Because repetition. And when we only get 5 or 6 objections and you're not using repetition and training yourself how to overcome these objections, yeah, you're going to strike out, hit foul balls, fly out, whatever it is every single time. Okay. But when you get good and someone says, hey, I need 3 bids. Okay. I asked the question at the beginning of the appointment. So now I know, hey, Bob and Babe, let me ask you a question. If you were to drive 60 miles around our market in Sacramento, how many HVAC contractors do you think you could find that does the same work? Typically, they say 100. Okay. So now in my mindset, they just told me by getting 3% of the market is going to justify by making a good decision. Tim, who's going to make a good decision by 3% of the market? A homeowner thinks that, right? But when you bring that to realization to the homeowner and you have that hard conversation with them, they sit there and they think and they go, you know what? You are right. So why don't I do my due diligence and go collect bids for them? Go see what my competitors are doing. It's because you know that majority of people's time's valuable, right? Not everyone. Sometimes they're retired, they're old, their spouse has just passed away and they want someone to talk to. But majority of the time, ask yourself, do you really want to sit with 3 technicians for 2 hours each, taking time off, late night, weekends, whatever? Probably not. So when you bring that to the realization that, hey, by getting 3 bids when there's 100 companies to choose from, that's 3% of the market. Now I knew that we were grown up to do that, but also I know that your time's valuable. So being a professional, what I've done is you said 3, I got about 50 estimates right here. Boom, 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 boom. And now you go through a bunch of them because a lot of times that objection is what we call a smokescreen objection. And a smokescreen objection is a false objection to cover the what? The true objection.
Well, we've got one more on our list of the major mistakes. We're trying to cover the biggest ones that people make in HVAC sales. Can you share with me what you feel like is one more major mistake that you see people make over and over again in their HVAC sales process.
Not asking for the order.
There you go.
Not asking for the order, man. I can't tell you how many ride-alongs I've done where they've actually just crushed it, right? Like I'm sitting there as the trainer. I'm like, damn, this dude is freaking good. He's a great communicator, has a great process. The way he presented everything just sounded amazing. But then once they're done presenting, they just sit there and they wait for the homeowner to say something, which is fine. I mean, when silence is in the room, absolutely silence is powerful. But at some point, you got to look at Bob and Betty and say, hey, Bob and Betty, based off these options right here, which one do you want to go ahead and move forward with? And now say they're stuck between two of them. Okay, I presented 4 options. They're like, you know what? I like this one. I like this one. I'm not sure which one. Can you email these 2 over for me? Well, your typical person's going to go, okay, I'm going to go ahead and email it over. No, I'm going to cross eliminate with you. Okay, so Tim, let's start with this one right here. And I usually pick the top option. Tell me what you like about this. What makes this system stand out to you? And they highlight the features and benefits of what they like. Okay. Then I take a step down to the one that they were also thinking about. And I say, okay, now let me ask you a question. What don't you like about this one? It's going to be the complete opposite of the one that they just showed us, right? So now I look at them and I say, okay, well, Bob, what is it that you need me to email over? It sounds like we just eliminated this one and this is the one you want to move forward with. And then
can you give me a few other variations of ways to ask for this? Since this is very common, I think people not asking. I just want to go through some variations of ways to ask for the sale in addition to these.
I mean, I think it's pretty black and white, dude. I don't think it's that difficult. I pretty much say it the same exact way. I present my options and I'll turn my paper over, my iPad, and I'll say, hey, Bob and Betty, based off these options and the scenario that we presented, which one would you like to go ahead and move forward with? And that's simply, or you could say, hey, which one do you want to do? Right. I mean, I
kind of like that. I like the casualness. I like that casual ask sometimes, and just not making it feel too heavy.
I've seen also where they displayed the options and then I handed over my iPad to let them choose, right? Hey, here you go. Take a look and let me know which one suits you best. But I feel like when you hand over the iPad, that's your steering wheel, right? And if I'm the driver of the appointment, this is my steering wheel, which means I'm in control of the vehicle, okay? I think it's a very bad idea to hand over the driver's seat to the homeowner and give them the wheel at the end of the appointment. I don't want them to drive the end of the appointment. So that's why I look at my iPad, right, as my steering wheel. And when I hand it over to him to say, hey, Bob and Bay, so based on these 4 options, here you go. Which one suits you best or which one do you want to move forward with? Now I feel like I gave up control.
Totally. If people were struggling with this, how could they go ahead and get some help with you and HVAC Masters of the Hustle? Like, what's the best way to get some help with this?
The best way to get help with this is we offer mentorship training. So if they want to do a monthly mentorship training with them or their team, they want to do a one-time training virtually. That's something that we do offer, something that I could definitely do. Probably take about 3 hours to go through everything to make sure that they're on the right page. But again, no one's going to take everything in 3 hours, right? That's why I think it's really good reputation of multiple trainings. We have classroom trainings that we do every other month here in Sacramento, where we bring in roughly about 30 contractors to inform and educate on the processes, how to ask for the order, how to overcome objections, how to pull the objections out, how to use financing as a tool. Because if you're not leading with financing on all your options, even repairs, to make it affordable to the homeowner, man, you're shooting yourself in the foot, not with the pistol, but with the shotgun, right? I ask everyone when I do classroom trainings, hey, raise your hand if you have $10,000 to give me right now in your bank account. You know, maybe 2 hands go up in the classroom of 30 or 40. I go, okay, what about 15,000? You know, the two hands still stay up. It's like their ego's their amigo, right? All right, 20,000. One hand goes down, one hand stays up, you know. And I go, okay, let me ask you a question. Now that I know that you have 20,000 in your account, would you want to give it to me for an HVAC system, or 10,000 or 15,000? Probably not, right? And for those of you that didn't raise your hand, let me ask you, if you had 2,000, 1,500, $1,000 in your account, is that something you want to give me for a repair? Probably not, because HVAC ain't sexy. It's not like buying a car where I got a C8 Corvette and I'm like, hey, Tim, you want to feel the RPMs in this motherfucker, right? G-force, baby. Woo, woo. We're going to stand there and go, hey, you like that CFM coming out of my ductwork right there? Man, that's 600 CFM in this room. Woo-hoo. You know, there's nothing sexy about that. We have to make this sexy when we're talking about it. And I'm telling you, no one's going to part ways with their money if it's not sexy, it's not attractive, or they don't see value in it. And you have to make it affordable by using your financing as a tool.
Okay. Man, I feel like this is something everybody needs help with right now, the financing thing. So not another bonus mistake here, not making financing simple and easy and obvious.
Oh man.
Not leading with financing, I guess. Any like ways to clean up that mistake?
Yeah. Understanding how to use your financing, what financing you offer, how to make a 15-year loan at 9.9 still sounds sexy, right? A lot of times they're like, yeah, you know, we got this loan right here for 15 years at 9.9%, but man, that's a long time, huh? But if you say like, hey, you know what? We got so many banks that want to partner with us that we understand that homeowners just don't have thousands of dollars sitting around, that we actually have banks willing to give you up to 15 years to pay this off. How amazing is that? Because at the end of the day, we know life happens, right? So just having a promotion that's allowing a client to pay off up to 15 years, wouldn't you say that's pretty amazing? So it's how do you communicate the financing, right? How do you make that sound attractive? Also, what I see a lot of people do when it comes to financing is never lead with your 0%. I don't care if you have a promotion going on with 0%, you use that as a tool, okay? Hey, you know what, Bob? I just want to let you know last month we were running a 6-month no payment, no interest. And I know that one thing you were talking about is waiting for your tax return. But what if I called my supervisor and they were able to approve last month's promotion? And again, you could utilize the system replacement today, start putting money back in your pocket. And then again, when you get that tax return, you could pay it off the loan because it's 0%, no payment, no interest. If we open up that loan, what would happen? Right? I'm not saying, hey, I got a 0% loan for you. No, I want the homeowner to understand that I'm going to be working for them. Okay. I did that my first 3 years in sales, man. I literally shot myself in the foot with the shotgun by offering 5 years 0% because I bought the way I purchased, or I sold the way I purchased, which a lot of technicians do out there is they sell the way that they purchased, or they look at their bank account and say, oh, they can't afford it because they can't afford it. And I'm also going to let you know, if we don't inform and educate about financing, homeowners are not going to ask it or ask, hey, Tim, do you finance? And the reason why is because that's admitting that they can't afford it. Okay. And sometimes they don't want to sit there and ask, hey, do you have financing? So they don't know what they don't know. And that's why we have to be true professionals, inform and educate them and say, hey, we have solutions to make this affordable without taking food off the table. But I also asked the hard question up front, Tim, at my comfort survey, where I'm asking the homeowner, hey, what's affordable without taking food off the table? If we could get you on our promotions right now about 150, 200, 250, 300, 300 plus, what's comfortable for you and your family? I have to get that in. And then when I design my systems, right, all 4 of them, each mother system is going to be affordable without taking food off the table. Why? Because now they can't give me the objection that they can't afford it.
Yeah, and I did get to go out to a training where it was at All City, and now it's plumbing, heating, and air. And Anthony Cafagna talked about That was why he had you there training with them, and
Yeah.
they've worked with
Yeah.
a number of trainers. That's you specifically to push the
finance.
techs and the plumbers to get better at offering financing. And
When I went
he went up from like,
Anthony's,
what's up?
when I went to Anthony's company, All City in Southern California, they were only financing about 28% of their jobs. Now, this is a very, very successful company, as you got to witness, right? Hundreds of different employees, but closing at 28% on your financing is absolutely garbage, okay? So Anthony hired me to come out for over a year, about a year and a half. I went out every single month and I worked with their plumbers. I worked with their technicians on how to communicate financing, how to show financing, how to ask the hard questions up front. And by the time I left that training a year and a half later, I mean, within the first 7 months, we got their financing from 28% to 47%.
Yeah.
And when you could do that, right, that drives higher average ticket, better closing percentages.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
what I was
mean,
going to
the
go into.
outcome was amazing. Yeah.
The ability, to offer allows people to get higher tickets. I think that's the powerful thing that we wanted to go through. Last question here, just before we move on, or like give you a call to action or whatever. There's a lot of mistakes with each individual rep, but what I wanted to go into is like with training at scale, because it's harder, right? Training an individual rep is one thing, but then training a group of people and how to get your team to follow a process seems like the hardest part. So how can we get our people, what's the biggest mistake in training a group of our team to follow a process?
The biggest mistake is accountability. Once someone leaves the training, the team doesn't hold anyone accountable, right? What I'm trying to talk about is you got to continue being uncomfortable or being comfortable being uncomfortable. After I leave the on-site, y'all better still be role-playing 2 days out of the week, getting yourself uncomfortable, role-playing those different scenarios and situations, right? It's not just because J-Dub was out here all of a sudden, we're going to absorb everything and we're going to become rock stars. No, it takes hard work. It takes time. It takes consistency. It takes commitment. I mean, for everyone that's watching this podcast and listening to it, okay, it was not a natural talent for me to be a sales professional or to be a really good sales professional, right? I have videos on my phone that I could still pull up today of me at companies role-playing, videotaping myself in the office one-on-one so I could watch my body language. I could see my tone or hear my tonality. I could see if I'm being aggressive. I could see if every transition of my process is a good transition to the next step. Right? There's so much things of commitment that I've done to get to the level of success that I am at. But people think today that once you learn a process, it's instant gratification. I mean, that's just the world that we live in today. Unfortunately, it's not, Tim. It's hard work, dedication, consistency, and keep putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and holding your people accountable. That is a biggest thing is I think most companies, and when I say most companies out there, I'd probably say a good 80% of them, no bullshit, don't hold their team accountable.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's scary, bro. It's scary to hold people accountable because, hey, if I have to make you look at your close rate in comparison with all these other reps and we have to look at the data, no bullshit, it might hurt your feelings.
But that's also culture though, okay? Just because you have the numbers in front of the people, you have to have good culture to be able to do that because, again, you're not trying to crack the whip on them, right? You take those numbers as a learning experience. And I promise you, people out there, technicians, comfort advisors, they would much rather work for a company that holds them accountable, that has processes and procedures because they see that they're cared for, rather than someone that just goes in and shoots from the hip every single time.
Awesome. Well, Jason, thank you for being on, brother. You're always a crowd favorite on my podcast. I know you're also live on yours too, but I just want to ask, where can people go to check you out for the listeners at home right now?
Absolutely. You guys can get me on any of the podcast platforms out there, J-Dub. Actually, my tagline for the social media is jdub@hvacmastersofthehustle.com, or you guys could look up hvacmastersofthehustle.com. That will get you any content that you guys need. If you guys are going to be in Epic next week, EGIA, come say what's up. I'm super excited. My breakout room, they actually switched me to the big room because last year I only had standing room. So we got to double it this year and maintain only standing room to show EGIA what's up, y'all.
That's awesome, man. I love to see the come up. Appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I can't commend Hook Agency enough on just the experience. We're talking about plumbing experience, but the experience we've had overall working with your team members on this project, they really draw out ideas that otherwise I didn't even think of, which is incredible. So thank you guys for being a valued partner of the Family Plumber. I really appreciate that.